Welcome to another RSR. Today, I am recapping the group stage, more like my overall thoughts about the group stage instead of just saying, hey, these are the groups I got right. Because to be honest, the group stage was definitely not my best. There were a lot of upsets, so we'll get into that. And predicting the knockout stage as it is from the round of 32 to the final after everybody's qualified. So, right now, let's talk about the knockout or the group stage of the League's Cup and my overall thoughts. We'll start with the upsets. There have been a lot of upsets throughout this tournament. There's been a lot of crazy games. There's a lot of big clubs who are on the outside looking in right now. Some of them being Toronto FC, Seattle Sounders, Chivas Guadalajara, Xolos Tijuana, St. Louis City SC. CF Montreal isn't a big club, but they're on the outside looking in. LA Galaxy made it. LA Galaxy got eliminated. Vancouver's the one who made it. Yeah, LA Galaxy got eliminated. Some of these clubs aren't acting like big clubs, but they got eliminated. Austin FC, because they suck at international competition. Point being is my final got shot down like a clay pigeon during a shooting contest. It went down quick and broke very fast. Toronto and St. Louis, I should have never gave Toronto any hope. That's on me. I cared too much, or I gave them too much hope. That one's on me. They got grouped. I was wrong about that. St. Louis, I had some hope in. They threw away the Columbus match to try to sell out for the America match, and it bit them in the ass. But I didn't expect them to come up so limp. So one of them I actually thought they could. Toronto was sort of hope. I was wrong on both counts. Again, I also sort of think this tournament, I do agree that this tournament is not biased towards the MLS sides, but favors the MLS sides. I do think this tournament does favor the MLS sides, all the home games, all the ways that this tournament runs. It does favor the MLS sides. I do agree with that. I don't think it takes away from this tournament. I don't think it's something that's bad for the tournament. I think people who don't like it or have sour grapes. But for me, I like it. I think the way this tournament runs is fun. I have no problem with how it runs. Yes, it definitely is a more favorable tournament towards MLS, but MLS was the ones who created it, or some, which was very connected to MLS until recently. So, I mean, come on. And U.S. soccer, of course. So, I mean, come on now. Should have expected it. But again, I think the group stage was amazing. It was well paced, a lot of great games. There was never really any snoozers. Both teams played well. Everybody cared about the games. Everybody tried when it came to the tournament, at least. They all played as tough as they could. Some teams, a lot of upsets, but this tournament is very interesting. I have to say, this tournament was a very interesting tournament so far. The group stage was. The calculus is a little bit weird, but the group stage had a lot of great matches, a lot of roller coaster moments, a lot of big moments. Lots of great matches, lots of good slates of matches. 5 to 6 matches per day, and you watch 3 or 4. It's amazing. Great quality on Apple TV. The group stage, there was a lot of upsets, I have to say. And a lot of my group predictions, I did have a lot of teams that went through, just not in the right order. But, some of the groups I got 0 for 3 on. I got 0 for 3 on. Some of the teams I thought would go through got eliminated, so... Besides, going through all the groups would make me have 20 minutes, and then the knockouts would take 20 minutes. This would be a 40-minute video, and the way I'm recording this, honestly, I don't want to go 40 minutes. So, let's just move on to the knockout stage predictions. FC Juarez versus LAFC. For me, in this first round of 32 match, I got LAFC winning. LAFC is the favorite here. They're playing at Banc of California Stadium. They're a strong side. They had a good CONCACAF Champions League run before this. They've sort of fallen off a bit, but they've sort of started to rebound a bit. I think Juarez has had a good season as well. I think they had a good group run so far in this tournament. They beat Austin. Mazatlan on penalties they beat. But they gave Mazatlan a good game as well. For me, they went to penalties, but yeah, they did give Mazatlan a game. I think LAFC is going to win, though. I don't want to say LAFC is going to get upset here. I don't think they will. I think they'll do just enough to get through. It'll be tight, but they'll do just enough to get through. Of course, these first 4 matches are in the West. RSL, Real Salt Lake versus Club Leon. RSL hosting at Salt Lake. Of course. RSL hosting the match here. Leon versus RSL. I think Leon's going to win. I know RSL's had a pretty good season overall and a pretty good run here. Chicho Arango's there. They got Diego Luna. RSL doesn't look half bad, but Leon are the defending CONCACAF champions. They won on penalties against Vancouver. They beat LA Galaxy 5 points. I know RSL beat Seattle, but they did not beat Monterrey. RSL's not ready to play a good Liga MX team again. They may learn a little bit, but I still think they lose. Leon wins to have a Champions League final rematch in the round of 16, but we'll get there. Tigres versus Vancouver. Speaking of Champions League rematches, remember the 2016-17 Champions League quarterfinal? Yeah, here's another rematch at BC Place. Tigres versus Vancouver. Vancouver's mid. They got lucky to even beat LA. They're not beating Tigres. I don't care. No, I'm not even going to go there. Tigres is good enough to beat Vancouver. They're the Liga MX Clausura champs for a reason. They got hot, but they know how to win when it comes to a knockout tournament. Vancouver's mid. Tigres goes through. Finally, the last game in the West for the round of 32 is Portland Timbers versus CF Monterrey. Monterrey's the favorite here. Portland does not have Evander, but I think Portland has a chance. I think Portland has a good chance to win this game. I think Monterrey will be tough, but Portland, they look good right now. If they're 11 versus 11 against Monterrey. Oh, by the way, Tano Ortiz is Monterrey's manager now, and you know how he does in knockout games. Not great. Gio Savarese without tactic Tano Ortiz, even without Evander. They'll be 11 versus 11, unless the referee goes and screws them again. And the last time that Portland played a team from Monterrey, they should have won if they were 11 versus 11. They would have won outright. So you know what? I think Portland's going to pull the upset on Monterrey. People who know ain't really see it as an upset, but everybody, the general public probably will. But Portland gets it done. Portland goes to the round of 16. So LAFC, Leon, Tigres, Portland left in the West in the round of 16. Now, Columbus versus Minnesota in the Central. Columbus versus Minnesota. Columbus just absolutely demolished Club America. Minnesota isn't bad this year. They're pretty good. They do have Timu Pukki. They still have Longwan, who's had a really good season. Reynoso's still about to get back into form. They still have Arriaga. But Columbus, they just beat up Club America. And they honestly handled St. Louis pretty easily too. Two of the best clubs this year. And Columbus has had an off and on hot and cold season, but it's been more hot than cold. I think Columbus wins. I think Columbus wins over Minnesota. I like what Minnesota's building, but I think Columbus, even without Zelarayan, they just proved they could do it without him. Matan did just good. Cucho carried the team. I think Columbus can easily do the same against Minnesota. Sporting Kansas City versus Toluca. Toluca did beat Colorado last night, but Sporting Kansas City showed some heart. And they'll have Polito back for the Toluca game after beating Chivas. I think Kansas City's going to slightly upset Toluca. They're playing at home, but let's remember the last time Kansas City played Toluca, they beat the ever-loving hell out of them back in 2019. So you know what? I know it's not Ambrese's team, but Toluca was pretty good then. And, well, Vermees, I bet he won some revenge for, that was Ozan's team when they lost 6-1, but still. Again, I think SKC showing heart. They're showing heart that I didn't think they had. I think SKC pulls off the win, 1-0. SKC moves on to the round of 16. Chicago Fire FC versus Club America. Chicago Fire, I feel sorry for you. You're about to get ripped apart. Club America wins. I'm not spending any more time on that game. America wins like 3 or 4-0. Nashville SC versus FC Cincinnati. Due to seeding, Nashville hosts, or the results of last season, Nashville hosts. But I think Cincinnati's the better team. I think Cincinnati's the better team offensively, better team defensively. You could see it on the table. I think Cincinnati's going to do what they have to do to win. It may be tight. I say 2-1, but Cincinnati beats Nashville. Nashville gives it a fight, but Cincinnati gets it done. Left in the round of 16 from the Central. The 4 teams left from the Central in the round of 16 is Columbus Crew, Sporting Kansas City, Club America, and Cincinnati. So in the round of 16, we have 3 Mexican teams and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 MLS teams on the West and Central side of the bracket. To the East, Philadelphia Union versus DC United. DC got owned by a good team. They somehow beat Montreal. Philly's a good team. Wayne Rooney's a horrible manager. Benteke don't look so good. They lost Fountas. Rightfully so, but they lost him. Philly wins 3-0. Simple as. Philly wins 3-0. They're going to keep blazing a trail just like they have in the group stage. Philly is going to win. DC is under them. Philly wins pretty easily. The Hudson River Derby, Red Bull New York versus NYCFC. I got NYCFC winning. I think NYCFC has had the better group stage than Red Bull. I think NYCFC is the better club right now than Red Bull. Performance-wise and the roster they have, it's got to come through. I think NYCFC has some confidence after that Toronto walloping. I think NYCFC wins against Red Bull. They'll bring more heart. They'll show why they're the better club in New York. New York beats Red Bull. NYCFC beats Red Bull. Pumas Querétaro. Pumas is the better team in Mexico. Liga MX. They beat the hell out of DC. They did come back on Montreal. I don't see any reason why Querétaro would beat Pumas. Pumas beats Querétaro, and they move on. New England versus Atlas. New England may be fraudulent, but Atlas is even more horrible. Atlas finally plays a good team, even if they may be fraudulent. New England wins. New England gets it done. They move on to the round of 16. That means in the East, we have Philly versus NYCFC and Pumas versus New England in the round of 16. Then down to the South, Mazatlan versus Dallas. That plastic club will not lose to Dallas. Dallas has had a pretty good group stage and a good season. I think Dallas will show why that they're just the better team than Mazatlan. Dallas beats Mazatlan pretty respectably easy. Orlando City versus Miami. Inter Miami CF. It's Messi, of course. Messi is going to win over Orlando. Miami looks like a different team since he's came in. And Orlando sort of almost F around and found out against Santos. And if they do that again, Messi's going to make them pay. They will F around and find out. Miami goes through to the round of 16. Cruz Azul versus Charlotte. I don't think this is an upset, but you may. I think Charlotte beats Cruz Azul. Charlotte has scored some goals in this tournament. They've looked pretty good in this tournament. I think they keep looking good. Cruz Azul has not looked good this year under Tuca. They have only won one game. That was against Atlanta, and that was on a penalty shootout. So it was really 4 losses and 1 draw. Yeah, no, I don't think that's good enough. I think Charlotte is good enough to make Cruz Azul pay. Charlotte moves on. If you think that's an upset, good for you. I don't think it is. Houston versus Pachuca. Now, this is an upset. I think Houston upsets Pachuca. Houston is a hard team to play against. Remember the last time Pachuca played a team that was hard to play against? Yeah, they played Motagua. It bit them in the ass. I think Houston is going to beat Pachuca. I do. I think Houston will beat Pachuca. I think Houston will be so hard to play against that Pachuca just absolutely self-immolates like they did against Motagua. Houston does the job. They move on. So that means in the South, we got Dallas, Miami, Charlotte, and Houston that are left. So on the right side of the bracket, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 MLS teams, 1 Mexican team, which means in the round of 16, we got 1, 2, 3, 4 Mexican teams. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 MLS teams. Hey, the big dogs are still there, though, aren't they? So, LAFC versus Club Leon. I don't see why LAFC would beat Leon this time. I don't. I think LAFC are not out of their doldrums that much to where Leon wouldn't beat them. I think Leon is still on really good form. They've started off the way they ended. Over 90 minutes, I still think Leon, they did it already. I don't think they wouldn't. I don't see why they wouldn't do it again. I think Leon goes to Banc of California Stadium and beats LAFC once again. I think Leon is going to out-tactic them. Yes, LAFC will probably want this one more, but I still think Leon right now is the better team and has the better form. Tigres Portland. Portland should have won in the group stage. They'll be playing at Providence Park again. They'll have Evander back, and they'll have 11 versus 11. This time, they do what they should have done a couple of days ago. They win. Portland beats Tigres. They stood toe-to-toe with them already. They'll do it again. They'll win this time. So our semifinal, our quarterfinal in the West is Club Leon versus Portland. In the round of 16, in the Central, we got Columbus and Sporting Kansas City. Columbus. I like Sporting Kansas City. I like the way they're fighting. But again, Sporting Kansas City may have beaten Chivas. They didn't curb stomp them. Columbus curb stomped America and pretty much made easy work out of St. Louis. To me, that says Columbus is better than Kansas City. And I guess the table, I think, would say the same thing overall. Columbus moves on to the quarterfinal. Not semifinal, quarterfinal. And then Club America versus Cincinnati. FC Cincinnati will come to the end of the road here. Club America is not going to lose to Cincinnati. It may be tight. Cincinnati may give a good fight. I don't see them beating Club America. I don't. I think America, when they're actually playing their best team, are a well-oiled machine on the forward line. Quinones looks amazing. I think this will be more like a St. Louis. I wouldn't say a St. Louis game, but a performance where they're actually playing their best team. I think Club America's best team is better than what Cincinnati has. I think Club America moves on to the quarterfinal in the Central. So that means on the left side of the bracket, we have 2 Mexican teams, 2 MLS teams in the West and Central. Going on to the East, we have Philadelphia Union versus NYCFC. NYCFC is struggling for a reason. Philadelphia is not. Philadelphia, again, has just had a banger of a tournament. They've been burning teams left and right. And I don't think that would change even here. I think Philadelphia wins a 3-0 game against New York. New York's going to put up a fight, but they're going to Philly. Philly is going to beat them. 3-0. Philly goes on to the quarterfinal. Pumas versus New England. This time it ain't snowing in New England. Pumas will win. Besides, again, New England's fraudulent, just like they were a year ago. A year and change ago. Pumas still has Dineno. Pumas wins again. They may want revenge, New England, but they're still fraudulent. Pumas wins again. Pumas goes on to the quarterfinals. Philadelphia versus Pumas Unam to the quarterfinals in the East. And then Dallas versus Miami. Again, Messi is going to carry Miami through against Dallas. He should be able to. Miami, Inter Miami to the quarterfinals. And Houston versus Charlotte, I think Houston's the better of the two teams. I think they have the better manager, the better forwards, the better defense. They're tough to play against. I think Charlotte doesn't really know how to play against a team like Houston. I think Houston will move on to the quarterfinals, which means on the right side of the bracket, we have 3 MLS teams, 1 Mexican team, 3 Mexican teams, 5 MLS teams left. It's getting a bit more even. To the quarterfinals, we have León versus Portland. Club León versus the Portland Timbers. I think the Portland Timbers can win. I think the Portland Timbers will win. Again, they stood toe-to-toe with Tigres. They will, in my prediction, stand toe-to-toe to Monterrey, and they'll stand toe-to-toe to Tigres again. I think Portland will do it to León. If they could do it to the 2 Monterrey clubs, they could certainly stand toe-to-toe and beat León, especially at home. I think Portland will do it. Evander will have a great tournament, good knockout stage. After he comes back from suspension, Portland moves on to the semifinal. Columbus versus Club America. Club America's going to want revenge. And this time, they're going to play their best 11, and they're going to get it. Club America comes back in blood, comes back to get it back in blood and go to the semifinal. So, in the semifinal, out of the West, we have Portland. Out of the Central, we have Club America, 1 MLS team, 1 Mexican team. Then, out in the East, we have Philly versus Pumas. Philadelphia Union versus Pumas. I think Philadelphia Union's the better team than Pumas. I think Philadelphia Union's going to do just enough to beat them. It'll be a 2-1 win. Preferably, Pumas is trying to come from behind, probably, with that 2-1. But Philadelphia does just enough to win. Philadelphia sees it out. They go to the semifinal. Out of the East, Inter Miami versus Houston in the South. I think Miami beats Houston. Just like possibly the U.S. Open Cup final. I think Miami, again, Messi is going to carry Miami past Houston. Him and Busquets are so much quality, and probably Alba at that point are so much quality that would beat Houston. So, Miami goes to the semifinal, which means out of the East and South, we have Philly versus Miami, 2 MLS teams, 1 Mexican team left, 3 MLS teams left. Portland versus Club America in the semifinals. I think this is where the run ends for Portland, at least for the chance at the trophy. Portland, of course, could still play for 3rd place. I think Club America is just firing on all cylinders when they play their best 11, and they're going to do that. And Portland's going to put up a good fight, but again, just like 2021, I think Club America will do just enough to go through. They go to the final, Portland to 3rd place. Philadelphia versus Miami, I think Messi is going to carry Miami through. I do. I think Messi is going to make Philadelphia look like pretenders. And the referees might just too, but you know what? I think Miami's going to do just enough to get to the final. 2-1 Miami, Messi with a brace, Philly to the 3rd place match. So we have an MLS team versus Mexican team in the final. 2 MLS teams playing for 3rd place in that extra CONCACAF Champions Cup spot. Portland versus Philadelphia in 3rd place. I think Portland wins. I think they're going to be, they believe they could at least win a 3rd place, get into Champions Cup. I think they'll do just enough. 2-1 for Portland to get into Champions Cup. Portland wins, and Portland goes to Champions Cup as 3rd place. The final, Club America versus Inter Miami CF. It's America. Messi, you want to believe in the fairy tale, but let's be honest, America is different gravy than everybody that Messi would play in this tournament. From the group stage, throughout the knockout stage, Philly might be his biggest challenge, but I still think they're beatable. Club America with their best team, they're both going to Champions Cup. America wins the round of 16 slot through Leagues Cup. Miami goes to the preliminary round. But America is just too good with their best team. Miami still has defensive deficiencies. And those will get exposed wholeheartedly by America. There's no way it doesn't. They will be put down back to earth against America. But getting to the final will be great for them. They're still going to Champions Cup, but America is going to win this tournament. There is no way they don't. Out of every team that is left, I don't care if they lost to Columbus 4-1. I don't. When they play their best 11, they are on fire. Miami has defensive deficiencies, and that is going to put them over a barrel, frankly. So America wins the League's Cup. They go to Champs Cup as the League's Cup winners into the round of 16. Miami and Portland to the preliminary round from the second and third place spots, which is very good for Miami. But they'll still make the Champions Cup before they even play the Open Cup. So that's good for them. So with that being said, if you like this video, like it, share, subscribe. You know what it is. Tell your friends. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that bell notification once subscribed. Send super chats on the live streams or this premiere. Comment on this video. Put us in playlist. Share it with friends and family. All that great stuff. I hope you enjoyed the live watch along of Real Esteli Shelahu before this. And after this, I hope you stick around. And hopefully, by the time this is over, the review for Shelahu Real Esteli is almost up or up, so you can go and watch that. But give it a couple of minutes if it's not already up, and go and watch that as well. And then, of course, enjoy it. Hopefully you enjoyed this as well. And then we'll be back with Leagues Cup on Wednesday. But we'll see how this knockout stage prediction goes. We'll find out. I'm Ryan and I'm out. Peace. See you later.